Hello? Okay. I was going to try something different today. So I'll talk down here. Everyone can see me okay? All right. I was thinking about maybe talking about Ohigan, but then I think I remembered from last year that there was a wonderful explanation, so I wouldn't have to do that. I had a message today, and I ran it by our group that comes every 16th of the month to chant Choshinge in the morning to see how they liked it, because it was one that I got from Reverend Dr. Ken Tanaka. So how many of you were here last week? Yeah? Okay. Was anyone at the Japanese service? Oh, okay. One person was at the Japanese service. There was only 3 people, I think, at the Japanese service. So, oh, you were also? No? Okay. But I thought that the message was really nice, and it was a bit unfortunate that everyone wasn't able to hear it, so I wanted to tell that story, kind of, I don't know, steal it from him, I suppose. But it's this very old story, and because it was in Japanese, I felt I had to run it by people to see how it went. And then also, the feedback I got, which was I appreciated, was that I should have like a PowerPoint or something to help illustrate the story, which I thought was a great idea. And he had like these wonderful slides, these pictures, but I couldn't find anything online. So in order to make it a little more entertaining, I figured I'd come down here and maybe that would shake things up and you'd stay awake. So the story starts many years ago in Japan, and it starts in a village that actually started to be getting smaller and smaller. So it used to be very thriving, but as people started leaving because they didn't want to be part of the agricultural, because it was a lot of farmers, they left, they didn't stay, they didn't want to take over the business, no one wanted to pick any of the vegetables. They started to lose membership in their temples, and it was not a huge place, so they had 2 temples, but they got so small to the point that they could only afford to keep one of them. So they had to, in order to keep one, they decided to have a competition to see which one was the better one. So one of them was Jodo Shinshu, like our temple here. And one of them is another Buddhist sect, which we will leave unnamed, so as to not poke fun at any other Buddhist sects of Buddhism. So this other one that was not Jodo Shinshu, they had an incredible teacher, an incredible sensei, who did all these amazing practices. There was legends of him doing these miracles that people could attest to. And he would always wake up early before everyone else. He would only have 1 meal a day. He would never eat after 12 o'clock. And then he would always do chanting for hours every single day. Now, the Jodo Shinshu priest, he was not that amazing. It was really weird. In Reverend Dr. Ken's talk, he like pointed at me, and he's like, yeah, Reverend Matt is a Jodo Shinshu minister. But this minister in the story looked nothing like him. I guess, I don't know, I look kind of like big or athletic or something. And I guess this priest was not. I don't know. People ask me that a lot if I play sports. And it was weird in Japan, people asked me if I did judo. That was like the thing. Do you do judo? So I asked one of my friends what that meant. And so that just means you have daikonashi. That means your leg looks like a daikon, just straight, thick down, no, real chunky, I guess. But so this, kind of like a meek looking person, kind of skinny, smaller, whereas this other priest, the other Buddhist priest, was very, big and strong, and everyone really was, I don't know, almost intimidated by him, but they saw him as this very, powerful figure. They told them that they wanted to have this competition, and so they decided that it's true, they could only afford to keep one of the temples, and that they would allow themselves to have it. And they were thinking about how to do it, and so the Buddhist priest of the other school, of not Jodo Shinshu, told the villagers, okay, I want you to create this big, bucket almost looking thing. So it's got to be 10 feet wide, 5 feet deep, this big bucket. And so the villagers are thinking, oh, that's an interesting request, but okay, we'll do it. So they created this bucket. He said, okay, now raise it up and put under it firewood. I want you to heat it up and put water into this bucket. So they're filling up this bucket with water. They light the fire. It's going, and pretty soon it's boiling. It's really hot, right? You can see the bubbles coming up, all the steam and everything. And then at this point, of course, all the villagers have come around. They're all surrounding to see what's going on. What do you think he's going to do with it? You think he's going to make a soup or something? No. It's not soup. Spoiler. the priest then takes off his robes and he goes down to his underwear. And it wasn't clear in the story if he was a boxer brief guy. But he gets up, he goes up to this bucket of boiling water, and then he jumps in. So he's in this water and he starts chanting sutras, chanting the mantras, and he's closing his eyes, and all of the villagers are just, they can't say, this crazy guy is jumping into this boiling pot of water. So he's sitting there, he's in there for probably 5-10 minutes, and then he gets up and he steps out of the bucket, and he's not even breaking a sweat. It's incredible. His body isn't red, nothing. He seems to have just recently taken off his clothes, but he doesn't have any marks on him to show that he has been hurt in any way. And this makes all the villagers incredibly amazed. They're just dumbfounded at how incredible this person is. He was able to have these magical, essentially, powers to chant the sutra and not come out with any kind of burns. So then the Jodo Shinshu priest is there, and all the villagers just kind of look at him, and he's kind of thinking to himself, oh, I wonder what I'm going to do now. So he comes up to the pot, and he puts his finger in it, and he goes, yep, that's pretty hot. But he's thinking to himself, and he goes, you know what? All right, what I want the villagers to do, I want you also to fill me up a big bucket, to put it out here. But don't light anything under it. Instead, fill it with cold water. So all the villagers go out, they build another one, they fill it up with the cold water just like he says, and they wonder, like, oh, is he going to show that he can withstand cold water or something? Maybe? I mean, I guess that's impressive, but no, it's not boiling water. So he gets a bucket and he starts taking out water from the boiling water and then putting it into the cold water until they're both about even. And then the temperature is now kind of like a nice, kind of cool, not cool, but like a warmer than lukewarm, but less than boiling. Is that like a comfortable temperature? Okay. And then he takes off his robes and he tells everyone else, I guess since we're in America, everyone go get your swimsuits. Because in Japan, they just all got naked. But that was one of the other feedback from when I told the story before. It was like, yeah, it'd be weird if you told everyone to get naked and then take a bath together. Because we don't do that in this country. So everyone went and they got their swimsuits. And they all ended up enjoying the bath together. So this was the difference between the two priests. One was showing their incredible strength, and one wanted everyone to enjoy the wonderful weather and the nice bath together. And so they decided, of course, in the end, to keep the Jodo Shinshu priest, because they thought that while this one teacher, the other Buddhist sect, is incredible, he can do all these amazing things, eventually he's going to get old. And then he'll maybe retire or he'll die or something, and then what are we going to do? We won't have an incredible teacher. However, this other Jodo Shinshu priest, he's just like us, and he wants all of us to enjoy. If we come together as a community, even after this priest is gone, we will continue to survive, we'll continue to thrive, and we'll be happy. So they picked the Jodo Shinshu priest, and the other priest moved on to a different place where he also lived out his life very happily as well. I don't know, nothing bad happened to him. But this story has two morals. One is that the Jodo Shinshu ministers, as we call them, they are no different than any of you. So I'm not any different than you. I'm not special in any kind of way. Actually, the more I learn and read Jodo Shinshu, the deeper I get into it, the more I realize that I'm probably even less special than all of you. The more people I meet here, all of you, I meet people that are much kinder than me, people that are much smarter than me, people that are much better looking than me. But there's all these things that people, they're better than me in this way. And it's through the teachings that I understand this. Being able to step back and realize that, maybe I'm not as incredible as I initially thought I was. This is always being reminded to me. There was a friend of mine that his significant other, I would hang around with both of them a lot, but she never really started to warm up to me. And so I was confused, so I asked my wife, Michelle, I realized she doesn't really start to talk to me, she doesn't really gravitate toward me, she kind of more wants to talk to you. And she goes, yeah, you're not really a nice person. So, okay. And it's true. I tend to be very selfish in how I am, and I only like to talk about things that interest me, and so if you don't interest me, then I won't talk to you, which is why I talk to all of you, because you're also very interesting. But when I'm in these social situations and something doesn't really perk my interest, then I kind of talk to someone else or do my own thing, and this was pointed out to me. So like in realizing this, I recognize again, like, oh wow, I had this like air about myself that I thought everyone should want to talk to me, everyone should want to get along with me because I'm this incredible person, no one doesn't like being my friend. And that couldn't be further from the truth. But it's in realizing, stepping back and realizing that, you know what, I'm this imperfect being, that I realize that the Nembutsu is for me. And so this goes into the second lesson of the story, is that the Nembutsu teaching is for all people. It's for anyone to practice. If it was only for people who could really devote themselves strictly to these incredible practices, like the Buddhist minister from the other temple, then only some people would be able to benefit from it. However, Jodo Shinshu is for all people, and especially for people who can't do these incredible practices, for people who try to make progress and they can't make it. It's especially for those people. So I know for myself that Jodo Shinshu is especially for me, because constantly I'm thinking so highly of myself, and it brings me back to earth, to the real reality of how I actually am. And I'm so grateful for that, because in able to have that experience and able to learn that, it makes my life much better. I know it seems maybe counterintuitive, but when I'm able to kind of lower myself, then I can see how incredible my life is, how incredible the people around me are, how incredible the experiences that I have are. So I hope that you will accept me, continue to accept me. I'll work hard as a minister because, after I'm gone, this temple will continue to exist. Jodo Shinshu is very community-centered. We try to get people together to be doing things, to be learning, to be practicing, to be having a good time together. And so it's very important for us to have these temples, to have this Sangha. I will do my best to try to lead, but again, I'm only this foolish being. I'm no different than any of you, and so let's work together as fellow travelers to try to get along this path. We continue to practice Nembutsu teaching together, and I hope that all of you can have the same kind of understanding that I have, not necessarily that you are all foolish beings, but that you recognize the incredible amount of love and compassion that surrounds you at all times to try to learn from the people that are around you. If you could please join me in Gassho. The Nembutsu teaching for all beings. It helps us realize the true reality of ourselves. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.